Hi guys, it's Darian here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Actually, something I've never really done before here on this channel. I mean, I have done certain things like this, but not exactly like this. I'm going to be doing a little tea talk. This is not sponsored by Starbucks. Tomorrow is my birthday. So I am turning 34 years old and I figure why not talk about me, myself, and I. Here we are. So happy birthday to me and any other Geminis. If it's your birthday, June 20th is my B-day. If it's your birthday too, let me know in the comments. If you want to know more about me, more about what the F happened to Darian and what the F happened to my blooming, blossoming business that I just kind of cut short, why all of that happened, keep watching. I guess it's going to get juicy while we talk tea at Tea Talk. So let's just get cozy here because this is probably going to be a long conversation. I said a prayer before I hopped on here because I gotta be honest, I've been anticipating this video. I've been not dreading this video, but sometimes confused about what the F to say in this video. There is both so much to say and so little that I actually can say. There's just been a lot going on with me. Let's just say 2018 was really crazy for me. So I don't even know where to begin. I really just know that my intention here is to be as real as I possibly can be my true self, as I believe I always am on this channel, at least for the most part. I try my best to be just real and to be open and to, try not to like fake the funk or any of that, because I really do have a true desire to help people in a manner where I show you that you are capable of doing the extraordinary things that so many people out here are doing, that you are capable of having this power while also being just a regular old human being, and that you don't, like, especially that you don't need to be this like ego idea of perfection in order to be powerful. In fact, it's like the opposite. In order to be powerful, you do have to be a fuller expression of yourself. And so this is going to be a lot of gab, a lot of tea. Go grab yourself some tea because it's going to be a long one, I feel. And coincidentally, I just got a comment on one of my pages asking if I could do a video talking about my journey of how I came into witchcraft. And I feel like I'm really trying to divert the situation right now and I'm avoiding the real matter here. Okay, so there's kind of like a split group here. I have thousands of new followers, which is amazing. So you guys don't really know who I am, where I really came from. I feel like maybe you just, I don't know, I just fell out of the sky one day, or I'm just whatever, I don't know. And then I have my longtime followers who have been with me for years, who were clients of mine. And I mean, I call you guys my beloveds for a reason, because I truly, deeply love you guys. I could fucking cry. And, you guys, most of you, the ones that have been following me for a long time, you know my history, you know where I come from. You know that I come from a lot of chaos and a lot of pain, and I was able to transform myself and transmute all of that with these spiritual teachings that I've been teaching, and then I have a true desire to express that outward because it helped me so much, and I want to be the expression of that. And so what happened was last year, almost exactly a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I stopped doing the long time video that I was doing, video series called Freedom Friday, where I teach you how to free yourself and live your dreams. And I was very passionate about that. And I was very passionate about what I was doing. And then one day I just stopped. I didn't give too much of an explanation as to why. At the same time, I cut off my membership without giving much of an explanation, and I stopped selling all of my courses. So I have, I was helping thousands of empaths just like flocked to me, not on purpose. That wasn't something that I did on purpose. I went through all the training of like how to be an entrepreneur and all that stuff, but like that never really was me, in the sense that like I'm just trying to, get rich quick, or that just wasn't me. Of course I want to make money, but only like, of course I want to be abundant. Of course I want to be physically and spiritually abundant. That is my true desire. I don't really give a crap about money in this sense that like I don't know. It's just not me. And so I always, like, my true currency, my core desires and passions were always to beat the truth, bring the truth, and help people find the truth. That just came off the top of the dome, but that is the truth. And so I just like abruptly stopped everything. And I know that a lot of my beloveds, my beloved followers, my beloved clients were upset with me. What I think I hadn't finished saying was I had a course specifically for empaths called How to Rock It as an Empath. I had a group, I still have the group, called #RockAnEmpath. I was starting movements. I was really impassioned. You couldn't stop me. That's how, like, I could cry talking about it because of this past year, because this is my humanity coming out, because I'm still working through my shit, if I'm being really honest. Like, I'm still not ready to come back out, but like I was. But back then, I was so clear about who I was and who I came from, or what I came from, the source within me, and what I was here to do. I was so crystal clear about that, and I was so inspired and so impassioned by my mission that you could not stop me. I was like the fucking content queen, but it was only because I was so inspired, you know what I mean? And now we're getting into the explanation of it all. One thing that I would sort of mention here and there on Freedom Friday, the people that like really followed me for a while, they knew that I had been going through this kind of behind the scenes that I didn't talk too much about, is that I had a very rocky relationship. So not the entire time that I was on YouTube, but the entire time that I was doing like Freedom Friday. So when I first started this channel, it was when I started reading. I already had a music channel that's called Darian Music. That still is in existence. If you want to go watch all of my old videos and see my journey of like how terrible I used to be and how much better I got musically, you can go check that out. It's just called Darian Music, or Darian Music. And I actually started that channel in 2009, which was the same time I had my spiritual awakening, which was the same time, that was about 6 to 8 months before my first daughter's father committed suicide, which really was like that year was like the biggest year of my life. That was 10 years ago. And it's so interesting that now this year, 10 years later, I'm going through another transition where I'm about to have a whole new awakening, and just we'll get into that later. So I had my spiritual awakening. I started a YouTube channel because I was deathly afraid to sing in public. So I was like, okay, well, there's YouTube, so I can warm up. And then I started playing out, yada yada yada. So in 2000 and I want to say 12 or 13, I started this YouTube channel. That was when I started reading Gabby Bernstein's May Cause Miracles. And that is a 40-day practice. So I said, in order to hold myself accountable, I'm going to do videos. That's something I'm like pretty known for. Like I did all 365 lessons of A Course in Miracles on Facebook Live. You can go to my Facebook right now and you can look in the playlist and you can watch all 365 of those lessons. It took me a year and a half to get through it, but sometimes I would miss like maybe one day out of the week, or maybe I wouldn't do the weekend, but I was like diligent about that. And so I started off the channel doing that, and I was really just sharing my spiritual journey. It wasn't about me being a teacher at that point. It was really just about me sharing my journey. I didn't know if anybody cared. I just kind of did it, you know? And, you know, I had so much to say and so much to talk about, and I just did that, you know? So after that 40-day practice, I realized that I just really, really enjoyed doing that, and I wanted to start teaching, and I guess that's how Freedom Friday was born. I knew that I had all these like little tips and techniques, and I had started like a blog during the same time. I've been a writer for a long time. I've been a singer-songwriter for a long time, and you know, I was kind of like doing all of that at the same time. And of course I was like reading all these books, and I had started like this whole charity event that I was doing where I was raising tons of money for, to write Love on Our Arms and to help raise awareness for depression, addiction, suicide, and self-harm. And, you know, because that's my background. Like I had all of those things. I had depression, addictions, I attempted suicide. My daughter's father committed suicide, and I, you know, was self-mutilated when I was a teenager. And so, you know, my heart was close to those causes. And so that's kind of where I was at that point. Always wanted to be an inspiration, always had that desire. But what people didn't know so much in the forefront was in 2013, in September of 2013, I started seeing a guy that I knew when I was a teenager. I actually met him right across the street from my house when I was pregnant and 18, and he was 14, and that's when I met him. We started dating in September of 2013, so it was almost 6 years ago. And that is, I'm not sure exactly I'm pretty sure I started Freedom Friday before that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I started, maybe even like a year before that, 6 months before that. And that relationship was rocky AF. I would always like joke and say like, oh, that's my on and off relationship. And, you know, I may be a spiritual actually at this point I wasn't even a spiritual coach, but I did get, you know, I did go through Spirit Junkie Masterclass with Gabby Bernstein, and I did become a spiritual coach after that, and I started getting trainings and all of that. So during that time I would always like joke and say, you know, I'm not a relationship coach, like don't ask me about relationships. And I just talked about what I knew. Like that was always my rule of thumb. When I did Freedom Friday, my rule of thumb was stick to what you know. And I stuck to what I knew. And if I didn't know something, I would just tell you, I don't know, this is a theory, you know, this is my belief system, or like this is whatever, this is what I heard, this is what I read, but don't quote me. Like I would definitely always say kind of things like that, because integrity has always and will always be very important to me. Integrity is very important to me. So just know that no matter what I do, my integrity, the integrity of my business, the integrity of my brand, which to me is almost more important than my business, in a weird way, you know, integrity is very, very important to me. So I always stuck to what I know. Relationships was something I admittedly did not know. We were just crazy. We were so crazy. I mean, we would break up all the time and get back together, and we would be together for like a month or 2 months or 3 months. Then we would break up for like a week, and then we would get back together for like a month or 2 months or 3 months. And it was just the same cycle, same cycle, same cycle. Now, how, you might think, is this happening when I am on a spiritual path? I meditate every single day. I'm doing A Course in Miracles. I'm doing the fucking work. Right? I'm doing the work. But we'll get into that a little bit later. I, of course, was still operating on old belief systems, which was still causing this crazy drama. And you know what? I think on a spiritual level, I was probably asking for it. So the very first time I launched my first course, actually back then it was a group coaching program, How to Rock It as an Empath. I found out shortly after that I was pregnant by this man. And then came Miss Meadow Rylan, which a lot of you know if you see on, you know, she pops her little head in on Facebook Live sometimes. She just did it yesterday. So yeah, Meadow Rylan, whence she came. And the whole pregnancy, I went into a depression, which I talked about. So without talking too much about, you know, her father, I don't really want to get into his business, but my experience of him in our relationship was that of abuse. There was physical abuse. I am going to tell you right now that we can call that hearsay. I'm okay with that. This is not a legal thing that I'm like fighting against him, but there have been times where he did put his hands on me. There were lots of like screaming matches. There were lots of times where I felt as if he was personally berating me for reasons that like really were unbeknownst to me. It really seemed like, so you have to understand that I wasn't just like this little victim that was like, wah, don't hurt me. It wasn't like that. I was such a strong woman. I was so like, I know who I am. I know God. I know myself. I'm committed. I'm building my business. Like I'm able to forgive whomever because I'm not a victim. Like that's really what I was preaching. I'm not a victim. I'm not going to be a victim of, I was looking at it very often, I was looking at it as if he chooses to berate anyone, he's berating himself. Like when you judge someone, hurt somebody, attack someone, you have to attack yourself first before it's got to come through you to get to somebody else. So I really had this mentality of like, when you speak such vile words, I see that as that's a reflection on who you are, not on who I am. So I believe that, looking back at it, I believe that the reason, and I don't know, I don't speak for him. I legally don't have any right to speak for him. I'm giving you, this is totally my personal experience, and I don't hate him. I have love for him, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? He's the father of my child. I absolutely love him for that reason. I have to have the rest of my life being involved with this man. So no hate at all love. I'm just doing this for the benefit of both being cathartic for myself, but also to be teachable. So with that being said, I don't even know what I was just saying, but what it seemed like from my perspective, I'm really trying to be diplomatic here. What it seemed like from my perspective was that the fact that I was not so easily torn down was a bigger trigger to him, to his ego, not him as a soul, but his ego, and really caused him to kind of kick it up a notch. I really believe that we both challenged each other greatly. It was hard for me to be so deeply in love with somebody that was also in such a quarrel with themselves when they loved me, when they received that love from me. Like, it was difficult. And then, of course, at the same time, my ego was being triggered. I was like, it was just OMG. It was, on some level, I believe that I know that I asked for it because I constantly always have a desire for more freedom, more expansion, more love. And in order to do that, we have to face our own dragons, as I call it. So some of you know the whole dragon, I call you guys dragon slayers. And that is, I have overcome myself. I've overcome my own limiting beliefs. And, in order to expand, especially on a spiritual level, on any level, we have to face our own demons, our own dragons, our own belief systems that are fearful thinking, right? We have to face that. And there's people like my baby daddy that we call into our lives, right? So I'm connected to this man for the rest of my life. There's people like that we call into our lives that are here to help us to drudge that stuff up so that we can look at it. Now, does that mean that it excuses any of his behavior? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Does it mean that it's that low vibe version of our relationship is any reflection of our truth? No, absolutely not. Does it mean that we should ignore it? Not necessarily, no. But again, what I also want to say, what's very important, and I want to say this to any people that are in abusive relationships or have been in abusive relationships, because I think I got really caught up in what it looked like from the outside world. And what I want to say is, whether you are in a relationship that to the outside world looks like it's abusive or whatever, and maybe you're in an abusive relationship, the one thing I would say is follow your own heart. Do what you think is right for you. Don't, like, everybody in the world is going to be like, you need to leave his ass, or whatever you think the world is going to say about you. Or, I really thought that the world would think less of me. And because of that, I really ended up denying myself a great deal, because there really are two combative belief systems going on here. There's my spiritual belief system, which is the one that has always led me in the right direction. It has always led me to love and freedom and joy and bliss and feeling safety. And, it's always led me in the right track. But in order to do that, I have to love him and forgive him. And then there's another belief system that says, I don't deserve this, and I don't, I shouldn't have to put up with this, and he needs to, there's that, of course I don't deserve that. But if I don't take that on, if I don't allow his treatment of me to be any reflection on me as a person, then I haven't been abused. So it was interesting. It was like I was in a relationship with someone who acted abusive, but I, most often, did not feel abused, because I looked at it as if he was abusing himself. Like, when we broke up, it was usually every single time we broke up, it was because, again, this is my own account of this. I'm sure he has a very different account of this. And you know what? I respect and I honor that. I honor his own personal account of our relationship. I think that it's beautiful. Whatever that our relationship means to him, that's for him, that's personal to him, and I honor that, and I love that, and that's beautiful. And I think the same for me. We're both entitled to our own experiences, But every single time every time we broke up, it was because I ended it. He has never, ever ended it with me, ever. He's always tried to stay. I always felt him really clinging to me. I always felt this energy of, like, he didn't want to let me go. It just, like, he did not want to let me go. And I was like, listen, this is not healthy. This is toxic. Like, we can't be like this. But the times when I would break up with him would be when he got violent to the point where I could not stop him. He was in my home. He refused to leave. Sometimes I would have to, like, call the cops on him and things like that. It just got really crazy. And so now I do want to point out, this was years ago. This has not happened recently. I don't want to make him seem like this monster, because that didn't help me to make him seem like this monster. And that's what I want to talk about now. So, when we broke up 2 years ago exactly, because it was around my birthday 2 years ago that we broke up. And I think that my intention was, when I broke up with him, was kind of like, I want us to just go and get ourselves together, because this is really toxic, and, we need to heal. And he saw it differently. Like, I was like, I want us to heal and come back together so that we can, be a family again, and for our daughter. And, that was really important for me. And he just, like, he was never into spirituality, personal development. He was literally the complete opposite of me, which kind of makes me sometimes believe that, was he a twin flame? Is he a twin flame? He very well could be, but I know that there's so much confusion about, like, twin flame relationships and, like, just straight up abusive relationships. And so I still don't know. I guess the world will never know. And I kind of feel like that, and, whatever. So we broke up. then that is when the real drama started to happen, I feel, which is even crazier because I don't know, like I still was strong within myself. I still was deeply connected to the source within me. I even had a crown chakra awakening, and I had opened up a whole new psychic channel for myself. I mean, I was feeling good. Do you know what I'm saying? And then he started doing things that really was like digging the knife in kind of a thing, kicking me when I'm down kind of a thing. And that's when I started to really start to research narcissistic personality disorder and the traits of a narcissist. And it started to become eerily identical to him and his behavior. Now, it's such a freaking conundrum. It's such a, I don't even know what to call it, because on one aspect, I was gaining clarity by realizing, oh my God, have I been in a relationship all this time with a narcissist? But then also, there was this quarrel because that was causing me to have too much focus on him and it was taking off the focus from me. So I started to, actually, it wasn't so bad. And then we were still kind of hooking up. I was still deeply in love with him, right? Things were still whatever. And then he got this new girlfriend. And that was fine. We were still hooking up because he acted like she was just, you know, some fling and it wasn't really anything. And, you know, he was still the father of my child, love of my life. Like, we were family. But that's when I really started to become like disillusioned by what was really going on, our whole relationship. And to me, it was like, I was in the vortex most of our relationship, so it really didn't matter. Like, I really didn't care what he was doing. I didn't care to analyze him and his behavior. So as soon as I started like digging into, oh my God, I think I was with a narcissist all this time, it really made me start to deplete more. It made things worse for me. I mean, it's like, it gave me clarity, but it made me look more on the outside than it did on the inside. I was following my own personal guidance. It just was such this like quarrel. And what I didn't mention is, man, I'm really giving all the tea. I'm spilling all the tea here. I did not intend on spilling this much tea, but here we are. So, as soon as we broke up, I found out very shortly after that this is hard for me to say. I found out that I was pregnant again. And he had already said he was seeing somebody new. I mean, he literally like a week after we broke up started seeing somebody new. And basically made it very clear to me that he couldn't support me, that he was just like, flat out was like, we can't do this. And I knew how, you know, my pregnancy with Meadow was very difficult. He was either yelling and screaming at me or he was abandoning me. Like, he was either, that was my experience. Like, he was either not there at all, you know, the first like 6 months of her life, he was really not there. You know, it just was really difficult. And I realize that I'm painting him out as this terrible person. I want to make it very clear that what kept me there was this deep, pure love that we did have for one another. And that was there. But I can't deny that, like, someone who is not on a spiritual path and is going to get into a relationship like someone like me, you are going to be spiritually challenged every second of the fucking day. And it's, I honestly, I do feel for him in that sense, because I know that we both had this very strong desire to be with one another. We had this very strong attraction for one another, which I believe was our spirits trying to come together. Maybe that was a twin flame thing, the spirit trying to become one again. I don't freaking know. But, you know, I don't like, it almost was like I was a mirror to his ego at every time of every day. And I can imagine how difficult that can be. And he was that for me, you know? But I think that I was that more so for him, and that's why, you know, it kind of really brought out the ego in him, and he really fought it a lot. And I really do have the utmost compassion for him, honestly. I really do. And it is a fucking miracle that I can say that right here and right now, because this past year I have not been able to say that. So as soon as we break up, just like happened the first time I found out I was pregnant, we were broken up when I found out I was pregnant with Meadow. And I made one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make in my life, because I knew that if I carried this baby, he was going to be the same. It was going to be an abusive, crazy ass mess. We were broken up again, for good this time, like just like the first time. And I knew that I wasn't emotionally stable enough to carry a child. And so I sought spiritual counsel from some of my very dear friends, and I made the decision to terminate the pregnancy. It's the first abortion I've ever had. I did not believe in abortion before then, but to me, I felt like I was very stern in that decision. Like, I wasn't as emotional right now because I didn't know that everything was going to transpire after I had this abortion. At the time that I had it, I connected with the spirit of my baby. I felt like I was making this decision for myself. I felt like I was choosing to change whatever was supposed to transpire in my life. I felt like I was consciously choosing myself for the first time in my life. I was not going to be a slave to someone else anymore. You know, I have 2 children. I had my first child very, very young. I felt like I was constantly just molding myself and my own life to the needs of others. And I thought, you know what? I need to do this, because the chances of me being able to carry this baby and not, like, you know, during my pregnancy with Meadow, I ended up in the psych ward, I think one time, and I had my very dear friend call the cops on me because I said I wasn't doing well, and to check up on me because I was suicidal at times, and I just wasn't good. I mean, I was to the point where I could ask for help, you know, like I wasn't so out that I was like, you know, people had to stop me from killing myself. It wasn't like that. Like I was just like, I'm having really dark thoughts. And I basically spent why am I spilling this much tea? I don't know. But I basically spent my entire pregnancy in bed, bedridden, because I physically had no strength, listening to Abe Hicks. That's basically my whole pregnancy was that. And it was a traumatizing delivery for me. It was a traumatizing experience. The entire effing experience was so traumatizing for me that it's almost like I wrote it off in my mind. Like, I don't even really think about it because I can't, you know? It was like a survival mechanism. So I could not go through that again. I just couldn't. I couldn't be abandoned again. I couldn't, like, I don't want to have more than 3 children, and this was like my last time to have a child, and I just couldn't do it. As much as I loved him so much, so deeply, truly did deep down want to be with him, but knew that, like, he had his shit to work through, I had my shit to work through, and it just wasn't going to work if this is how it's going to be. And so I made that very difficult decision. February rolls around, and I text him and say, this is when our baby was supposed to be born. We would have a baby right now. That's crazy. And he tells me that his brand new girlfriend of like 5 months is pregnant, and she's keeping it. That is about the time, because of that abortion that I got, that's about the time that my whole entire world started to spiral. And he also was still sleeping with me, which was even more difficult It just like, you know, obviously I still have some shit about it, but it was like if it had gone any other way, if I hadn't had an abortion and he just happened to 5 months later get another girl pregnant, it would have been different for me. But I felt like I got postpartum 9 months after I was supposed to give birth to a baby, and then he tells me that this other woman is now having a baby. I was thinking, oh my God, is that my baby? Is that the spirit of my baby decide to just go through some other woman? Like what? Like there were just so many things going through my mind. And I felt, as a woman, I felt that it just defiled me. And my womb and my femininity and my womanhood and everything about me as a woman felt shattered. And that's when the downward spiral began. And I just couldn't I couldn't help people from this space of being in so much pain. And, you know, this is why I feel that I started to be called to witchcraft. I started to realize the patriarchal system of my own conditioning that I was living by that was causing all this pain. You know, nowadays, I finally have been able to start to look at that abortion as actually an opportunity. Like I now still have the opportunity to have a child with a man that I deeply love and that deeply respects me, and that will be an amazing father to the little boy that I've been wanting to have since I was 19 years old. And, you know, I have that opportunity to have that where, you know, this situation, if I had given birth to that child, I would not have had that same experience. I really feel like I did take control of, you know, what's going to happen in my life. But it just was the most painful thing I'd ever gone through. And so I at the same time was feeling like I had been feeling for like 6 months, even before this was happening, that Freedom Friday was starting to feel a little stale for me. It was starting to feel like, we need something else. We need to mix this shit up. Like, something needs to change here. And I knew that. And during this time that, like, you know, his new girlfriend was pregnant, it just felt like I was just counting down the days, just waiting for this, like, child to be born. And it was dreadful. It was awful. And it's so interesting to me because I knew that I did not want to be with this man. I knew that I deeply loved him, but I did not want to be with him. And yet it was only the fact that it was like my womb, my life. So, you know, I teach a lot of meditations and I've been taught a lot of meditations where we focus on the womb space and the life creator energy. And the life creator energy is actually, it's actually a different energy than like your soul, your spirit, and your body. So the life creator, all the life creator energy wants to do in a male and female, all the life creator energy wants to do is procreate. It wants to keep the species alive. And so it tends to be the thing that makes women become very competitive with men. And, you know, because it just wants to procreate. That's all it wants to do. And so it was kind of like my womb space took me over and that life creator energy took me over because I was like, but I don't want to be with him. I know I don't want to be with him. I know that as much as I do love him, there's not a fulfilling, really truly fulfilling relationship that I can get out of this. And so I was very clear on that, but like still, I was feeling like jealousy and all this kind of stuff, but also being an empath and the fact that I was still sleeping with him occasionally, not all the time, but like we were still sleeping together. I could feel his girlfriend. I could feel her energy. I still to this day have never met her. It's been 2 years they've been together. I've never met her. She knows about everything, for the record. I made sure that she knew, because I know people she knows. I made sure that she knew the truth, because I'm not going to be somebody's side John. Like, that's just not, it's just not going to go like that. So I made damn sure that she knows the truth, and she does know the truth, and she chooses to stay with him because he probably bullshits in her ear, but whatever, that doesn't matter. But I could feel her. I could psychically tune into her. Didn't want to. I didn't want anything to do with her. So I could feel her jealousy of me. I could feel everything. And it was holy moly. So when I stopped Freedom Friday and then I stopped my membership, that is why. That's why I stopped. And honestly, like, the baby was born in September, this past September, and the day, like, I didn't even know that the baby was being born, but the moment that she went into labor, I went into the darkest time of my life, the darkest mental space I have literally ever been in. It took everything in me in that moment not to take my own life. It took everything in me. I just, in my mind, and I was texting him this, and he didn't even mention to me at the time, like, hey, I'm at the hospital, she's in labor, I can't really talk right now. Like, he was literally answering you back as she was in labor. I don't even understand that. But I just was texting him, and this was my mental space, was like, I cannot live in a world where your child with another woman exists. I just cannot live in that world. And yet, that was the world I was living in. It was like every day I was waking up in a nightmare. That's how it felt. Every day I woke up and it felt like I woke up into a nightmare. I was in fear. I was in like, everything is wrong. It's wrong. Everything's wrong. It's just like, everything was wrong in my head. And yet still I was like, but I don't want to be with him. But still, it was just like, I don't even know. I was like picking up all sorts of things. I was all over the place, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And then at the same time, I feel like I was being sharpened and bred and polished and called towards witchcraft. So it's just like all this shit was happening all at once. And so that is the exact reason. I did not know I was going to spill that much tea, but that is the exact reason I had to stop my business. I had to stop everything because I could not in good conscience try to teach you guys from this space of absolute fucking pain. I was in so much fucking pain. I just could not see anything. I was all over the place. I had moments of clarity, but for the most part, I just fucking lost it. And then it was like somebody who's so used to being in the vortex all the time. Like I was used to, man, I was like flowing constantly all the time. I could hear Source speak to me like it was right next to me. I could hear Spirit talk to me like it was right next to me. It loved me. I could feel everything. I was channeling like it was nobody's business. I was manifesting like it was nobody's business. I was creating like it was nobody's business. I was so in the flow of my spirit and my creation and my expansion. It was beautiful. And then all that shit happened. And of course, when you focus on something that brings you pain, you ain't any longer in the vortex. So I could feel that that pain was my source calling me back. But for some reason, I stayed there. And that is now, fast forward to now. So it's been almost a year now that I have been struggling with that. I did go into therapy in September. Soon as I got that like suicidal thought, I went right into therapy. So just know that, know that I was taking every steps I knew. Now somebody's mowing their lawn, of course, outside. But I was taking every step I knew to help myself, to get myself treatment, to get myself help, I was reaching out to friends, I was doing everything I could. But I also was kind of suffering in silence because I wasn't talking to you guys. And that was probably the most difficult thing for me because I love you guys. I have such a relationship, a connection with you guys, and also that like it is not normal for me to not express myself. Like, if I'm not expressing my truth, if I'm not like an open book, some shit is wrong. And there was a part of me that, like, I was in such a dark period where, like, I wanted you guys to reach out to me. Like, I wanted somebody to be like, hey, are you okay? And I never got that. And I was in such like a sense of victim mentality. And of course, none of that like is your responsibility. And I know that. But at that time, I just felt like, can someone come save me? Can someone come ask me if I'm okay? Please ask me if I'm okay. Because I'm not fucking okay. I'm not okay. And, you know, I didn't have many people to talk to. And I really was like isolating myself, and also was struggling with this like spiritual teacher perfectionism. Like, I was, you know, I really felt like it was my job to be the leader for you. And I just like, I now know that I cannot put that kind of pressure on myself at all. Like, I can't, I'm fucking human. I am fucking human. Yes, I have been able to, I was going to say by the grace of God, but also by the grace of giving myself that kind of grace, like the grace that I gave myself, the grace that I allowed myself the ability to access these deep fucking wisdom. I have allowed myself to access this deep fucking wisdom many, many times in my life. And that's what I built this entire brand and business and mission on, is that ability to open myself up to the wisdom of source, right? And so I do have that, but I also am human. There also are many times where I'm blind as a motherfucking bat. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are many aspects of my life where I was blind. One of them being my relationship aspect. Herein is why I manifested a relationship like this and this past year. So, I am finally, God, this is like the longest video ever. I hope you're all still with me. You probably aren't, but maybe. I don't know. This is juicy enough that all of your egos are probably watching this like it's a freaking drama. But this is for real, my life. No fucking lie. So, I've just been like, I can't even at this point right now articulate all of the changes that have occurred within me. I decided to start doing the witchcraft videos because A, I felt guided to do them. B, I felt like witchcraft was something that I got a little bit of joy. Like, you know, I wasn't writing. I mean, I'm always writing music, but I wasn't like performing music. I wasn't really feeling as inspired as and I'm used to feeling so inspired I can't fucking stop myself. So for me not to be in that state was just like, I felt desolate, you know? And so witchcraft was like, I think in a way it was kind of a way for me to gain my power back, because I felt so powerless. I felt so like, you know, I can't, you know, he now lives with that woman who I've never met, who my daughter lives with every other weekend. He refuses to, well, he says that she refuses to meet me, but for a long time he was refusing to allow her to meet me. And that's probably because of many reasons. But, you know, they live in a house, he bought a house, moved her in, had a baby, you know, didn't tell me that they were buying a house, and they lived like right up the street. And it's just like was, you know, I couldn't control that this is the way my family looks now. That's still hard for me. But I think that witchcraft made me feel like I could get my power back. And also, witchcraft forced me, or made me kind of connect more with the goddess energy. And I had to learn, you know, being with somebody who, I'm not going to claim and say he is a narcissist, because I'm not a doctor. I would never do that. And of course, I'm viewing him from my pain viewpoint. Do you know what I mean? So like, I'm seeing him from a painful place of perception, from a painful perception, and I'm not seeing it all, right? So I'll never say that. But my experience of him was that there were a lot of narcissistic traits, you know, the gaslighting, the double life. Narcissists all have double fucking lives. He is like a double fucking life where I've never met the other girl and he comes to my house and he flirts with me and stares at me out of the corner of his eye, and I'm just like, I just ignore him. I just pretend it doesn't happen. But, putting my whole heart and soul in the hands of someone like that, someone who just defiled the fuck out of me as a woman, what it's caused me to have to do is find out who I am as a woman and to honor and protect that myself. So it is, as I've come to in every other aspect of my life, I finally come to the point where I'm like, okay, if anybody has the ability to destroy you in that way, like he fucking destroyed me, that's not healthy. To be in any kind of relationship where you end up being destroyed, that was some toxic ass shit. I had this mentality that he was my everything. He was the source of my love, my happiness, That's not fucking healthy. That was not healthy. I know that. I admit that. I am very, very clear on that. And if anybody is able to defile you in the way that he was able to defile me, it means that I was not honoring and protecting my own feminine side with the masculine in me, right? So this is where I'm starting to learn about, dark and light and witchcraft and even black and white magic, and understanding these concepts of like solid protection. Like I will protect the beautiful female energy that I am at all motherfucking costs. And I could not be there where I am. And not from this place of pain, not this place of fear, but this place of, I honor the fucking queen that I am. And every day I channel more of that goddess within me, and I will never, ever let anybody defile that, not because of my fear for them or my pushing against them, but because of my deep love and my deep, I don't even have words for this, how precious my feminine energy is to me is one of the most important things of the aspect of myself. I just love that shit so fucking much that there's nothing that could penetrate that. And I owe that to the man that defiled me as a woman. I owe that to him. That is kind of fucked up in a 3D sense, but totally beautiful in a 5D sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the thing that I've been working through that I finally am starting to get real clarity on again, and it's gonna be beautiful, it's gonna be amazing, I'm gonna be able to articulate all this shit. And let me just tell you, this fucking channel, this movement, this brand is gonna fucking explode, okay? I'm just warning you guys now, because it's fucking crazy what's percolating within me, and the every little bit of like awareness and awakening and enlightenment that I get is going to just fucking catapult me out into the world, and I will be unfucking stoppable. Right now I'm just getting there. I'm just starting, and I'm not forcing that. That's why it's been almost a year now, and I'm just like, okay, I'm here. I'm in my winter phase. I'm not calling this a dark night of the soul because that doesn't fucking feel good. It feels like my winter phase. I'm just in my winter phase. But what I'm realizing looking back in this past year and all that I've learned, and I go to therapy once a week, and of course constantly in my everyday life I'm looking at, okay, what are you trying to teach me? What am I trying to learn? But I really feel like I've been going blind. I feel like I've just been completely blind this whole time, just kind of going like this, trying to figure some shit out. It's been really difficult. But what I realized is that it wasn't him that I was up against. And we're coming full circle here. It was my own demons, my own dragons. So what was happening and what's been happening, and what still, I'm finally to the point of awareness where I can come up into what I call the dragon slayer phase, out of the prisoner phase. I was in the prisoner phase for the last year and a half probably. and well, maybe for a year, and then I'm just starting to get into the Dragon Slayer phase. In the Dragon Slayer phase, you have awareness, but you still have your old patterns. So you have an awareness of your old patterns. In the Prisoner phase, you're just stuck all up in your old patterns. You have no awareness. And in the Dragon Slayer phase, I have awareness, so I'm able to look at, oh, okay, that's what is causing that pattern. That's what's causing this pain, yada, yada, yada. And so I'm realizing that what's been happening over the course of the last 6 years with this man, who is a beautiful spiritual partner of mine, and I love him so much for this. I want to be very clear. My experience of him was all due to my own dragons, my own belief systems that said who I am as a woman is in his hands to be defined. It was this patriarchal belief system within me that said, I need a man to make me a woman, to tell me my worth, show me my worth, yada, all of that. And you know, men for me in my life, relationships for me in my life really was a drug. I went through a lot of shit. Like, a normal fucking person that lives just like a happy-go-lucky life, or has two parents that are extremely supportive or whatever, or just live in like a really supportive home, they don't have experiences like this, okay? I'm just letting you know. You have to have some off shit to have experiences like this, to be as spiritual teacher and still be this fucked up. Like, and I'm not calling myself fucked up, but like, you know, I really come from a lot of chaos in my life. I come from a background that was chaotic. So I did suffer with a lot of addiction and a lot of depression, and I was around a lot of addiction and a lot of depression and mental illnesses and yada, yada, yada in my life. And so, you know, this was an expression of that. This was a manifestation of that, of something that, you know, when you grow up in chaos, you tend to think that chaos is normal. And so there was an aspect of me that just was continuing to manifest chaos because that was normal to me. And I hadn't realized, and I really took having something like this to occur in my life for me to realize, oh, that's chaos that's happening in me because I'm accepting the fact that chaos is normal, but it's not, you know? So it all goes back to everything I've ever been teaching here, that the law of attraction is the law of attraction. It is the law. And every single thing that you manifest is an expression of you, of something that's within you. So what was expressing was both my new spiritual belief system, like a whole structure of belief systems, and that fighting against this old structure, which was, it was beyond having just two beliefs that combat each other. It was two entirely different belief structures that cannot live together. They just can't. I cannot both have a patriarchal belief system where I feel like I need to look hot in order to be desired by men. And yes, that lived very much in me. And still sometimes I battle with that because I'm like, okay, I still want to look beautiful and feel beautiful when I look in the mirror, but I want it to be for me and I have to catch myself, okay, is this because of the patriarchal thing? And sometimes I'm like, I just want to go outside and look hot, you know, and it's like, that's like a constant little quarrel that I have, and I have to be aware of. And all women, I see it in all women, and especially men. I definitely see it in men. I think that men are still perpetuating the patriarchal system and how women have been raised in a patriarchal system, how the patriarchy sees women. I think men are definitely, even just recently, you know, just little comments by men that I see men doing. Like even just calling somebody sweetheart, or calling somebody gorgeous, calling a woman gorgeous and beautiful, like, hey, beautiful, hey, sweetheart, like that just affirms the fact that that is the thing that makes me feel worthy, right? And like saying like, I don't know, just I really see men perpetuating it more than women, but I still see so many women. Like I was just recently in a conversation where another woman was calling another woman fat. And I'm like, we're still there? Like, we haven't even evolved out of that, where we're grown-ass women still talking about how another woman is fat. And I'm like, in my mindset, I'm like, it's 2019. You can be juicy and look sexy as F. You know what I mean? Like, it's 2019. There's no, like, you have to be a certain weight. Like, that's just, in my mind, I'm like, that doesn't even exist anymore. Like, there are beautiful women that are skinny. There are beautiful, I'm skinny, and there are beautiful women that are curvy and luscious and gorgeous. And they are literally beautiful. They look beautiful. And like, it's just, in my mind, I'm just like, this is like, what? I felt like, when I was in that conversation, I felt like I kind of went into a time machine back into like 2000. Like, I went 20 years back and was like, oh, hey guys, this is where the patriarchy is like alive and well. But no, that shit is still happening, like, women are still obsessed with the beauty, beauty stuff and wanting to look beautiful because of whatever reason. So it's not a matter of like not wanting to be beautiful, but it's a matter of not wanting to be beautiful because it's what beauty is in the eyes of the patriarchy, in the eyes of the traditional man, or not even traditional. It's just like this generation, not just generation, it's just this society today, and has been societal for a very long time. But it's when it comes to women still fighting, women on a spiritual path still fighting the patriarchal belief systems within themselves. That's the important part. It's like, we're not fighting the patriarchy out there, we're fighting the patriarchy in here. And it really is. And I'm not sitting here blaming anybody outside of me. This is a belief system that is faulty, that I believed in, and because I believed that my worth was in the hands of anybody else, I suffered deeply. I put myself in many situations that, if I would have never gotten myself pregnant by him in the first place, I wouldn't be here. Do you know what I'm saying? But it took a lot of pain for me to realize all of this, and I'm still realizing things. And just yesterday, I was looking back at some instances in our relationship where I had been triggered. Maybe he said something like, yesterday I had a thought of one time where we were driving somewhere, and he was like, he was directing me, but like, in a kind of controlling way. Like, what are you doing? Make a left. No, make a left here. Like, really was controlling me where I was, and it's not about him controlling me. It's the fact that he triggered me in that moment. So I started to look at, okay, what was that feeling? Because it's that belief system that keeps creating that. So, that took me back to my dad being like controlling. And my dad's a wonderful dad, but also kind of like, was raised in a patriarchal system, and girls don't do this, and girls wear pink, and, girls don't play with dirt, that's for boys, and girls don't do this, and, Meadow is very much gender neutral in the sense that, like, she's super girly sometimes, she loves pink, but she also loves doing, like, what to the patriarchy is considered boyish things, and I'm just like, we don't say those things anymore. That's just not like a thing. And so, it's been a crazy ride, to say the least. There's my tea. So I will not sit here and apologize at all to anyone for stopping doing Freedom Friday, for cutting off my business. Now, I do want you to know, I have thought this entire year about, bringing my courses back. I did do one course on Magic Mom Life. I've been dabbling in little things, but I definitely have not been like out and proud like I normally am. But, I still have this beautiful business that I did create that really could help lots of people. I just haven't been in the proper space to do that. And of course, like I said in the beginning of this video, integrity is so important to me. And so I just couldn't do this knowing that I'm in this space. And I also would be just like working against myself, right? Like, when you're in the vortex, everything's easy. So it's like, why not just get into the vortex and make things easy? I just wasn't in a place to be in the vortex. And also, here's another big thing that I'm still kind of struggling with, is that because he and I have such a deep connection on a spiritual level, like to this day, we still have a very deep connection on a spiritual level. We barely talk. I try to just stay away from him because I know that we stick together like freaking magnets. Like we almost can't stay away from each other. Well, it used to be like that, and it hasn't been like that recently because I just avoid him at all costs. But I also, like, anytime I would just say, okay, here's all our problems, whatever, I'm just going to ignore them for the moment and get into the vortex. The vortex, for those of you that don't know Abraham Hicks, the vortex is you being in alignment with your soul. You're in this high vibe space, synchronicity, you just feel joyful, you feel blissed out for no reason, and everything's magical. But when I'm in that space, he and I attract to one another like fucking moths to a flame. And I can't even, it's like, I don't want to be the other woman. I don't want to do that. And I just want to stay the fuck away from him. And, but we just can't not attract to one another. So for me, it's almost like in my ego mindset, I resisted being in the vortex because I knew that if I was in the vortex, I would attract him back. Because when I'm in the vortex, I feel magical, and we're just like, whoop. It's like our souls are like, well, you got more to learn, more to learn. And so I really was resisting being in the vortex, which was me just like pushing myself down, me just like not being happy, me being afraid to be happy, afraid to get in the vortex. That's how the ego works. It's such a crazy thing. And now I think it's been so much time that I've really truly been in the vortex, because here's the thing, like, I know the truth of me. This is what I meant when I said women, not just women, but people, any person who's in an abusive relationship, you follow your own guidance. Of course you want to listen to the people that love you when they're like, listen, this is what I'm seeing from the outside and I love you and I want nothing but the best for you. But like, you take people's advice with a grain of salt or whatever. Like, you take the people who you trust, you take their advice, and a lot of people talk from their own pain, especially when it comes to abusive relationships. So like, you don't want to follow their guidance. You want to always follow your own guidance. But what I realize, and I've always realized this again and again and again, is that I can't be in the vortex and not accept that I still have deep, pure, unconditional, eternal love for him. So it's kind of like, if I'm going to be happy, I have to admit, if I'm going to be in alignment with my soul, I have to be okay with admitting the fact that this person who put me through all these things, which really isn't true, that's my ego's mindset. It really, I really attracted all of that. I attracted those experiences for the purpose of my own spiritual expansion, healing, graduation, advancement, we'll call that. Not that I'm making excuses for his behavior, because I'm absolutely not. He is his own man. He's responsible for himself. But my experience of that, right? So it's been like, I can't love him because society says I can't love him. And it's not right to love him when he's with another woman, right? Like, I've had all this shit. And also, like, if I do just admit that I love him and let myself go into the vortex, I'm just going to attract him back. And it will be difficult to cut him off, and the only way to cut him off is to be outside of the vortex, right? So it's just like, to cut him off is to create resistance. Resistance pulls you outside of the vortex, because the vortex is absolute allowance. You're in absolute allowance. You don't stop anything. You just keep going with the joy. You know what I mean? So I've just been in that, like, I'm still all over the place. This is the longest video in the history of life, but I just spilled all the tea I have to spill. I feel good. I feel cathartic. I feel like now you really fucking know everything there was to know about, maybe not everything, but pretty much. You pretty much know everything. Yeah, you do. You know everything there was to know about what the fuck's been going on with me this last year. And I promise you, it's not even a promise to you. It's just like, I know, because I set the intention and this is my will in life, that of course I'll take all of this and take everything I've been learning. And of course, behind the scenes, I've been learning more and more about witchcraft and more about, divine law and all of this, that I will take this and I will turn it into something fucking magnificent. I mean, let me just tell y'all, Like, watch out, world. That's all I gotta say. Just know that. And I know that I will be empowering people like you. And one last thing that I want to say, that this is how, you know, all of you empaths and you sensitives and people who are tuned into the magic of the universe, people who understand the sacredness of this world. We have been watching a world, right, that is chaos. It's much like what I've been going through in my personal life has also been showing up, right? As above, so below. It's also been showing up in the macro. What's been going on in the micro is showing up in the macro. And what I've been realizing is, you know, empaths, we tend to attract these abusive people. And it is because they teach us how to stand stern in who we are. I'm feeling what's percolating in the world today, in this society, is that us as empaths, we've been, not just empaths, but just spiritual people as a whole, people who understand the sacredness of the world, of the universe, and beyond, right? We've been passive. And it is no longer time to be passive. We've been spiritually passive. We've been allowing, it's as if we've been allowing the children to run the world because we have no desire for power. And this is no longer about power. This is about preservation. This is about preserving the sacredness that is the world. And I feel a strong sense in me that now it is time for people like me, and I'm sure that there are a lot of spiritual teachers that have probably been going through hell as well, for preparing for this time. It is time for us to stop allowing the children to rule the world, to stop allowing them to be the people in the places of power. And we need to now step into a place of power for the purpose of preservation, not for the purpose of power, but for the purpose of preservation. It is time for us as the empaths, as the sensitives, as the witches, as the spiritual leaders, as the spiritual people, as the mystics. It is a time. The time is coming. It's not yet come, but the time is coming. We're percolating for us to now be the leaders and show the children how it's done. And I don't mean to say children in this way that like people, you know, that in a derogatory term. You know, we love our children, but we don't let our children run the fucking globe. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I really feel deeply like what's about to happen. And I am going to be one of the many that will lead you people, the witches, the empaths, the sensitives, the psychics of the world, out of a place of being passive and into a place of being action-oriented and teaching people, teaching the world how it is truly meant to be done. But it's like the world has to see, the children have to be shown that when you defile what is sacred, you suffer. And so that time is coming. And I feel like I needed to go through this on a personal level to understand, you know, I was overpowered by somebody who doesn't understand the sacredness of the world, right? Somebody who was acting from their ego. I had to be overpowered on a personal level to understand that it really is all about what's within me, that I need to be strong in the perseverance of the sacredness within me in order to teach and lead how the world can be strong in the preservation of the sacredness that is the womb, the feminine of all of us. And so I think that that is beautiful. And we should know that, and we should all feel hope for that. But also on an individual level, you, just as I have been doing, and you probably already are doing this, but you should be continuing to slay the dragons within yourself in order to become a stronger force of nature within yourself, a clearer channel for the force of nature that is you, which is magic. So when it comes to me teaching witchcraft, I motherfucking promise you that I won't just be teaching you cute little spells on how to do this. No, I will be teaching you the principles of divine, natural, powerful magic so that you can transform the fucking world, so that you can start a spiritual revolution. That is what's important to me. That is what matters most to me. But the revolution starts within all of us on a personal level, with a deep relationship with our own divinity within ourselves. That's where the revolution begins. So we are battling the patriarchal system within ourselves. We're also battling the white nationalist and white supremacist and racist belief systems or structures, belief structures within ourselves as well. Everything that's wrong with the country, well, of course I'm in the US, but everything that's wrong with the world and the country, it is all a battle within ourselves first, in order to gain those tools to then go out and create that spiritual revolution on the outside of us. So there's that. There's the tea. I'm very grateful that you've been with me this long. Hopefully you actually got through this. This could cause a nice little stir up with me and my baby daddy relationship, but I don't know. I send him love. I will always love him. And I had to say this, and I think he always knew that I would say this at one point. I mean, he does know. I flat out told him that there will come a day where I will speak my full truth, because I'm not somebody that closes this book. I'm just not. It's not who I am. I have to express. I have to be who I am. And that is that. I send you all love. Happy birthday to me. And whew, I feel really good that I just got all that off my chest, and I'm going into 34 feeling free and clear. Free myself. All right, guys. I love you so much. And that's the tea. And I'll see you next week. Bye. Love is real, and all my tears are drops of bliss. Some dreamer walking through the eye of the storm. Dreamer, whisk me away from it all.